We do these things thinking that we're friendly or we're really encouraging the guy to make sure he knows we're interested. Isn't
Right.
that nice and friendly? No.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. Once again, I want to welcome back Robert Manni, the host of Guys Guy Radio and TV and the author of The Guy's Guide to Love. Robert, thanks again for being
Hey,
here today.
so glad to be here. Great to see you, Silka. Hope you're
It
having a great summer.
absolutely am. And I have a discussion for you today. I think you're really going to like.
I hope it's
I
hot.
It's well, apparently it is a hot topic, and that is the difference between showing interest in a guy and chasing him. And I can identify with this topic so much because when I started dating again, 10 years ago or so, yeah, I would have liked to have some clarification on what the difference is and why that's important.
Yeah, just for some context, because I think it's a great, very relevant topic because
Mhm.
it's something that everybody's going through right now who's in the
Yeah,
dating space. Because
yeah.
historically, men have been the kind of pursuers, the hunter, and women want the guys to make the first move. And then, sending the signals aren't picked up on. And
Mhm.
do you have to, what, if you're a woman who's 50 years old, do you have to wait there for the guy? So I think the world has changed and the rules have changed. And I think
Mhm.
that's great. And I think it's great for women and they should be able to make the first move. However, if you start too overtly chasing guys,
Yeah.
and a lot of guys over 50 haven't changed their ways and they haven't accepted the new normal the way women have. So what's a woman to do? Well, I think we're going to talk about it, but I think it's like it's playing the game. How do
Yeah.
you put the signals out there in a way that the guy picks it up,
Mhm.
but there's some type of romance to it, there's some type of cleverness to it, there's some type of charm to it, so it becomes more of a mating dance instead of
Mhm.
you're throwing yourself at the guy
Yeah.
or you're waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that actually brings us to the very first point, and that is it's as you're meeting, somebody either in person or even online, giving them your number is one thing that is in fact a form of flirting that should be encouraged. Lets the guy know you're interested, but then texting him first or calling him first, that's the big no-no or the difference. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think if you give a guy the number and he doesn't get it that you're interested, then he's probably not worth pursuing because or he's so popular that or he lost your number, whatever. But I don't know. Everybody's got to do what they've got to do. But if you give them your number, I mean, that's pretty much it. What I would do when I was online dating, and I would always, on the second exchange, I would send the woman my number. And invariably, she would send me her number. And then I
Mhm.
would initiate the contact, which was
Mhm.
fine. And it was so predictable because it happened every single time except once. And that was with my wife, who said, "We don't need a phone call. Let's just get together." And I'm like, "What? That's my rule." But then I realized, well, I made the rule up so I can break it. So anyhow, I think if a woman hands a guy her number, that says call me. And if he doesn't pick up on that, maybe he's just not that into you.
Yeah. Well, the funny part about this is this was actually another article. When yeah, calling him first, but for reasons that you make up, like you read something that was really fun that you thought he might like, or you're making up these reasons to call or contact that are so obvious that you're trying to get with him where he's not that interested or not that into you. I did that. So this is really, that's why I think this is so important because
Did it
people
work?
uh did it work?
Yeah.
No. No, I ran off the guys in 10 days. I was better than the movie. And I thought I was being friendly. I think that's the other point. Sometimes we do these things thinking that we're friendly or we're really encouraging the guy to make sure he knows we're interested. Make it easy on him. Isn't
Right.
that nice and friendly? No.
Yeah.
That's why
Well,
we're having this.
I guess, Silka, pardon me, I'm sorry to interrupt. if there was something that came up, like there was a mutual thing, let's say you met at the golf course in passing and you handed the gentleman your card and you didn't hear from him, but maybe you send him a text saying, hey, I'm playing next Saturday. Maybe I'll see you there. Something like that. I mean, it's a dance, it's a game. And
Yeah,
again, I don't know if guys have evolved on how who can be the aggressor continuum has changed as much as
mhm,
it has for women who are
yeah,
much more open to, like, yeah, I'll make the first move. Why not? And, sure, why not? But
yeah.
realize that the guys might not be in that same head and heart space as you are.
Exactly. The second point here, when you fill in, that was interesting. When you fill in, or you feel like you're filling in all the gaps, or you place yourself in situations to run into him, or to, to see him, to be able to, oh gosh, I didn't know you were here. What a coincidence. I did that too. I did that after 50. Again, that's why this is I think, an important conversation, because when you do get back on the
Yes.
dating scene after a long time, you go back to what you did back in your 20s. So
Right.
anyway, talk to me about filling in the gaps.
I think, that's fine and it's clever and it's smart. And I have a heck of a lot of respect for that to a point, though. I
Mhm.
mean, you can't put yourself where, oh, there she is again. It's like, boing, she popped up again. You've got to do it in a way that has a little bit of elan and charm and grace, where it is coincidental and it is a nice thing. Like, oh, great, there she is. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And then hopefully he takes the bait at that point. But if you keep showing up everywhere, I go to the gym, there she is. I go to Sprouts. There she is. I go to get my car washed. There she is. There's a lot of coincidences. Maybe we were meant to be together, or she's stalking me. You got to be careful as to how you handle that.
Well, and then again, just to hone in on those points, some other authors here, dating coaches, said this, that even initiating contact like emails could be seen as chasing, or Facebooking him. And I mean, I've seen this too, where on Facebook, liking everything, unless you're into, or he's into you, that becomes very annoying. Any comments on that? Now, we didn't have social media back in the day.
Mhm. In terms of starting a relationship that way, it's hard to read the signals because you don't know. So I think first contact has to be made in some other way where there's a natural inclination to make a move or to contact the person. And I think if it's, through a friend or through social media, through a dating site or whatever, then if a woman wants to make the first move, if you will, and say, hey, let's get together, whatever, that to me is perfectly cool.
Mhm.
Because again, I think women are too valuable and deserve way more respect that they're getting, in terms of they shouldn't have to sit around and wait for guys to come to them. They should be able to do what they want, understanding that there are some pitfalls if it looks like they're becoming too obvious about it. But
Mhm.
by all means, if you see a guy, you like him, he's a cool guy, hey, you want to do this, hey, I know you're interested in this, I have tickets to something or whatever, that's perfectly cool. I think that takes some guts on a woman's part, as it does for men, because men for years have had to go up and say, hi, I'm Luke and I
Yeah.
buy you a drink or whatever it is. For women to make the first move, great.
Yeah.
Just do it in a way where there's self-respect, and you're not saying, here I am. You're saying, hey, I think we might have something in common. Do you want to
Mhm.
see if we can have some fun?
Yeah. Well, and what struck me with Facebook, especially, not necessarily as an initial contact, even, but as a follow up when he's not calling you. That's something, again, I did. That I friended him on this guy on Facebook. This was so long ago, on Facebook, and he wouldn't accept my my
Friend
friend
invitation.
request, which I should have known that. Oh, and then I'm like, oh well, maybe he just isn't on
That's a
Facebook
sign.
yet. So again, that's the fine line between, again, initiating, meaning showing interest, and then just going overboard,
Yeah.
again, like I did. Gosh, why didn't I have this video back then?
Well, it's like all that social media stuff and email and this or
Yeah,
that. All these platforms can get in the way, when really what you want to do is one-on-one with the person and see if there's a connection there. So
right.
anything you can do to kind of clear the path, I think, is a
Yeah,
good thing. And once again, a woman's like, hey, I'd like to get together with this guy. It seems like we could have a good time or whatever. I like to get to know him. It's okay to make the first move. Just know that you don't want to make the first, second, and third moves. He should be able to pick up on the
Yeah.
signals and say, hey, this could be, let's see what we can do with this.
Yeah. Yeah. God, I have so many funny stories, but I won't bore you with them here. The what she says here too, the going back to strategically planting yourself, that if you're doing that and he hasn't responded, that if she has a question here, ask yourself, have you given him ample opportunity to make a move and he just hasn't? And if that's the case, it's time to maybe not try so hard, that he is maybe just not that into you.
Or he didn't pick up on the signals. And if you really think that this is something that you want to pursue, then make that first move and just
Mm-hmm.
do it in a way where you're not exposing yourself completely, but you're putting the bait out there. So it's so obvious, like it'd be a good thing to get together. So,
Yeah.
I think that trying to plant yourself in different situations is like, you don't want to be compromising yourself and your integrity. You put yourself out there, and you should be able to pick up the signals. If not, you either say, I'm going to just ask this guy if he wants to get together, or move on.
Yeah. Again, an interesting conversation. I just, as a matter of fact, today released a video with Treva that we had on, that is really up to women. It's the impetus of women to encourage men to make the first move, to help them make the first move, because of the culture that we're in now, where that's almost not politically correct anymore. It's a whole other topic too. Again, where is that fine line? Because we want to keep traditional dating alive. I know I do. I know Trevor does. I think you do too.
Sure.
Whereas that's a big no-no with some, the generations coming up. So it's a conversation I think that's going to keep going. Uh, Love hearing the comments on this. Where do you mind a woman chasing you? What is and isn't annoying? What is or does turn you on and off about this? One thing that you absolutely don't want to do too, and I don't know if I agree with this or not, but you never want to ask him how he feels about you or the relationship. I guess that depends on where you are, what stage you're in, but
Not at the beginning. Certainly, you got to have a relationship to ask how you feel about the relationship.
yeah.
So until you get to that point, I would keep that talk off the table. Get to know each other, have some fun. Dating is supposed to be a fun sport. You don't have to ask everybody about how they feel about this or that. I mean, once you get into it and you want to get a sense as to, is this for real or not,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll know the different signposts along the way, then you can start having those conversations. But if you do it too early, then it's like, wow, she's making me get in touch with
Yeah.
my feelings already. Like, is this going to be on everything? And it's sometimes for guys, it's uncomfortable. I'm not saying they're right, but that's just how it is for a lot of
Yeah.
guys.
Well, it's all very interesting. I think what we really have to ask ourselves is, how alive or valid are our traditional dating rules still about, women not chasing, pursuing, men being the pursuer, etc. Is that still as important as perhaps it once was?
I think the point is women should be able to do the dating, make the first move, or whatever works for them. But just it's a little bit of buyer beware. They have to be careful that if they are perceived as chasing a little bit too much from the guys, that you don't know how guys are going to react. Every guy is different. Some guys are going to welcome it. Some guys are going to say, "I want to be the pursuer." I will say that from interviewing a lot of female relationship coaches, they have told me to a person that women want men to be men in the best sense of the word. That means confident in their own skin. It doesn't mean arrogant and macho. It means kind of guy's guy, if you will. And that they would prefer that the guy initiate some ideas for the first date, take some steps forward, be in a leadership position, and as a way of entering the relationship, because there's a comfort level there. I'm just repeating what I've been told many times. I'm not saying that's the way it has to be. I'm saying this is what I've been told.
Yeah. Well, and it's what I believe too. And again, I think it's just so ingrained that I don't know if we're ever going to change, or if we need to, like, other than back to the point, we need to encourage men to make a first move or make them feel comfortable that it's okay to do so. I think that's one of the big problems today. So, Robert, again, thank you so much. I always appreciate your time. As always, we'll link to all of your information, your book, your radio show, now on UK Health Radio all over the world.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing you again soon on
Me
Second
too.
Act TV.
Thank you, Silka.